She saved a dying wolf. Now, his recovery is tied to the one thing she's terrified to give. I didn't expect his hand to reach for my throat the moment he shifted. Not in violence, but in a shaking plea, as if the slightest distance between us would tear him apart. His eyes were wild, half broken, half hungry, glowing like something trapped between agony and want. And the way he whispered my name, a name I never told him, sent a heat crawling down my spine that I had no business feeling for a stranger, much less a creature who had been a dying wolf an hour ago. Tell me, how do you pull away from someone who looks at you like you're the only thing keeping them alive? Rainmakers, before I take you inside that cabin with me, be honest. Are you really listening without subscribing? Don't break my heart like that. Hit it now so you don't miss what happens next, because after tonight, nothing stays innocent. The snow was falling sideways when I found him, a wolf dragging himself across the ground, leaving a dark trail behind him. I should have walked away. I told myself I would. My hands were already numb, and my cabin was a mile uphill. But something in his eyes, it didn't look like an animal begging for life. It looked like a person begging not to die alone. So I wrapped my arms around him, his weight far heavier than he looked, and pulled him through the storm. By the time we stumbled into the cabin, my legs were shaking, my breath gone. I dropped to my knees beside him as he collapsed on the wooden floor, chest barely lifting. I whispered, "Don't die here. Please." His ear twitched. He understood me. I didn't know how I knew that, but I did. I started cleaning the wound along his side. It pulsed like something poisoned, something not meant for this world. Every time my fingers brushed his fur, warmth shot up my arms like he was drinking strength from my touch. And then, the moonlight hit him. At first, I thought he was having a seizure. His body convulsed, fur rippling like a wave fighting the wind. Then bones shifted, snapped, reformed. My breath froze, not from the cold, from terror, and something else I refused to name. He wasn't becoming a monster. He was becoming a man. The transformation wasn't smooth. It was violent, like his body was fighting against itself. I backed up until my spine hit the wall, unable to look away. Skin replaced fur. Hands replaced paws. His chest rose and fell like he was drowning in air he wasn't ready to breathe. And then he lifted his head. Long hair stuck to his forehead, damp with sweat. His shoulders trembled as he pushed himself upright. And those eyes, those same wolf eyes, locked on mine with an intensity that made the room feel too small. I couldn't move, not when he crawled toward me, not when his breath ghosted against my neck, and definitely not when he whispered, "Why did you save me again?" Again, as if we'd done this before. My voice cracked. "I don't know you." He raised a shaking hand, touching the spot just below my jaw, the same way he had when he first shifted, like some instinct in him needed to feel my pulse. "You don't remember," he breathed. "But your touch, it's the only thing keeping me alive." Something warm spread through me. Not gentle, not soft. More like a pull, a tether hooking into my chest. Threading something between us I didn't understand. He leaned closer, voice breaking. "If you leave me now, the curse will finish what it started." Curse, touch, recognition, a dying wolf turning into a man who says my name like it belongs to him. I should have run. Instead, I did the one thing I never should have done. I placed my hand on his shoulder, and the tether snapped awake. Heat surged between us, stronger than anything I'd ever felt, dragging a small gasp out of him and out of me. I didn't know it then, but that single touch sealed both our fates. The heat between us didn't fade. It crawled up my arm, into my chest, settling low like something alive. He shuddered beneath my hand, not from pain, but from relief so deep it vibrated through him. Then his body jerked, a violent tremor. His breath hitched, and his knees buckled. I caught him without thinking. That was my mistake. The moment my fingers curled around his arm, the tether snapped open again, harder this time, stronger, dragging something out of me so fast I gasped. Not warmth, not strength. Fear, my own fear, pulled clean from my ribs like a thread caught in his fist. My legs wobbled. He moaned, low, desperate, the sound of a man drowning and finding air in my touch. "Don't!" I tried to pull back. He gripped my wrist, eyes blazing. "Please, don't stop." His voice wasn't commanding. It was pleading, raw, like he needed me more than breath. The pull deepened, sliding through me in waves that left my pulse stumbling. My memories flickered. Nights I tried to forget, shadows I'd buried, the weight I never spoke of. Each one softened, blurred, thinned, as if he was drinking the panic out of me to stay alive. I ripped my hand away. The tether snapped closed with a sting that stole the air from both of us. He sagged forward, gripping the floorboards, chest rising in sharp, uneven shocks. A sound slipped from him, frustration, hunger, restraint colliding in one trembling exhale. "You don't understand," he whispered. "If you pull away, the curse reopens." I stepped back. I needed distance before something inside me answered him. But he followed me with his gaze, pupils wide, body shaking like the tether was dragging him toward me even without my touch. "I'm losing control," he breathed. "And your fear, it steadies me." My throat tightened. "You shouldn't need that from me." He lifted his head slowly. "Then why does your touch fit the tether? Why does it choose you?" His eyes, they weren't wild anymore. They were focused, locked on me like he could see every crack I'd tried to hide. The tremor hit him again, violent, curling him forward with a groan that scraped his voice raw. His hand shot out, stopping an inch from my ankle. He didn't touch me, but the pull tugged anyway, faint but undeniable. "I'm fighting it," he said through clenched teeth. "But I won't win without you." I should have stepped back. I should have run. Instead, I knelt, not out of kindness, but because watching him break was doing something dangerous to me. He lifted his face toward mine, breathing hard, trembling everywhere. "Just a little," he begged. "Give me enough to stay myself." My fingers hovered over his shoulder. The tether buzzed, waiting for me. And when I finally touched him, the floor, the air, the night outside, everything tilted. He exhaled like he'd been starving for centuries and finally tasted something forbidden. His forehead dropped against my chest, his voice shaking into my skin. "This is what keeps me alive," he whispered. "And you're terrified of how right it feels." His forehead still rested against me, his breath uneven when his entire body stiffened. Not from the tether this time, from something outside. He lifted his head slowly, listening. Then his fingers curled around my waist, steady but urgent. "Don't move." My pulse tripped. "What is it?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. A sound whispered through the cabin walls. Not footsteps, not wind. Something heavier, more precise. Like the night itself was closing in. He pushed himself up, still shaking, but alert now in a way that made my skin prickle. "They found me." His voice was low, edged, nothing like the pleading from moments ago. "They're here." Before I could react, his hand caught my wrist. Not harsh, but firm enough to make my breath catch. "My clan hunts anything touched by this curse," he said, "including me." A shadow slid across the window. Tall, slow, too controlled to be human. My stomach dropped. "What do they want?" He turned to me, eyes sharp in the dark. "To keep the curse from evolving." A beat. "That means killing me before the tether fully binds." His gaze flicked to my hand, the one that steadied him minutes ago. "And if they sense you, they won't hesitate." Another shadow moved outside, closer this time. A soft growl rolled under the door, barely contained. He stepped between me and the noise, shoulders tensing, breath hitching from the strain of moving without the tether. But he didn't fall. He held himself up for me, and that terrified me more than the threat outside. "You need to hide," he whispered. I shook my head. "I'm not leaving you." His jaw flexed, something fierce and grateful flickering across his face. "You don't understand the danger." "Then explain." His eyes darkened, heat and fear mixing into something sharp. "When the tether awakened, it marked you. They'll smell it on you. They'll know you touched me." Outside, claws scraped lightly against the wood, testing, waiting. I swallowed hard. "Then what do we do?" He moved closer, too close, gripping the edge of the table to stay upright. "Stay behind me, and if they break in, don't touch them. Don't speak. Don't even breathe near them." Another growl. This one answered by a second. My chest tightened. "There's more than one." His expression changed. Not fear, not anger, something darker. "You don't realize," he murmured, stepping just close enough that his breath brushed my cheek. "They're not here to drag me home." A pause. "They're here to erase what I've become." The door creaked, the faintest pressure against the latch. Instinct kicked through me. I reached for him, fingers wrapping around his arm without thinking. The tether surged, hot, immediate, fierce. He inhaled sharply, power snapping through him like a pulse, and for the first time, he stood tall, fully, steadily, dangerously. His eyes slid to mine, glowing, grateful, hungry in a way that sent heat spiraling through me. "They won't take me tonight," he said softly. A shadow slammed against the door. Wood cracked. Snow blew under the frame, growls layered on top of each other. His voice dropped into something that felt like a promise and a warning at the same time. "Stay behind me, no matter what you hear." The door shuddered again, and splintered. The door burst inward. Cold wind slammed through the cabin, carrying the scent of rage and something feral. Two figures stood in the broken frame, silhouettes curved with power, eyes gleaming with the same wild heat he carried. He stepped in front of me instantly, but his body buckled. Not from fear, from the curse. It hit him like a strike to the spine, twisting his form, shoulders snapping wider, breath rattling deep in his chest. He staggered backward, grabbing the wall to hold himself up. "Not now," he hissed through clenched teeth. "Not—" His words broke into a growl that vibrated through the floorboards. The clan stepped forward. Low, controlled. Predators moving toward a target that already knew it was surrounded. He tried to stand firm, but the curse slammed through him again, harder, vicious, dragging him halfway into the shift. His silhouette warped, then snapped back, then wavered between something raw and something barely human. His eyes found me, pleading, desperate, burning. "Touch me," he choked out. "Please, before I lose myself. My pulse stuttered. The clan was watching. He was shaking. The tether coiled tight inside my chest, hot and demanding. I moved before I understood why. I reached him. The moment my hand touched his arm, everything changed. His body snapped upright, but not in control. In need. He pushed me back, pinning me against the wall with a force that wasn't meant to hurt. It was grounding him, anchoring him, keeping him human. His forehead dropped to my shoulder, breath shaking out of him like he'd been drowning for hours. "More," he whispered, voice cracking at the edges. "Don't pull away. Not now. Not when they're here." The tether surged again, pulling my fear out of me in heated waves. His tremors slowed, barely. I lifted my other hand, slowly, and rested it against the back of his neck. He exhaled like my touch burned and soothed at the same time. His arms tightened around me, but careful, controlled, as if he knew one wrong move would shatter whatever thin line he was clinging to. "Just enough," I whispered. "No more." He nodded against my skin, breath turning uneven, almost shaky with relief. He wasn't shifting now. The storm in him was softening, curling inward, obeying the tether with the kind of hunger that made my legs weaken. Outside, the clan growled in frustration. Inside, his voice trembled against me. "I can hold, if you stay close." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My breath was already catching in his, our chests rising in the same uneven rhythm. He pressed his forehead to mine, not aggressive, not gentle. Something charged, something forbidden, something neither of us knew how to step back from. "Don't forget this," he murmured. "The first time you steadied the thing inside me." His hand slid down the wall beside my head, bracing himself, still trembling, but no longer breaking. And even as danger circled us, I felt it too. The moment neither of us would be able to undo. The clan retreated into the snow, frustrated growls fading into the trees. He stayed close, too close, breathing like every inhale depended on my touch. But the tether wasn't done. Heat rolled through me again, not from him this time, but from inside my own mind. A sharp pull, a flicker, a memory I had buried so deep it hurt to feel it surface. A scream, shattering wood, the smell of smoke, and eyes, glowing through the fire. Eyes the exact color of his. My breath snapped short. He felt it instantly. His hand lifted beside my head, steadying me though he was still trembling. "What did you see?" His voice was soft, careful, like he already knew. I pushed him back just enough to look at him. The tether stretched between us, buzzing hot, refusing to let me step farther. "My family," I whispered. "The night they died." There was a creature, watching me through the flames. He didn't blink, didn't deny it, didn't even look surprised. "You had those eyes," I said, my voice cracking. "Wolves don't have eyes like yours." A muscle in his jaw tightened. Not guilt, pain. "I told you," he murmured. "The truth isn't what you think." I shoved his chest, not hard, but enough to feel the resistance of someone who could easily overpower me and chose not to. "Then tell me. Now." He stepped back, barely a foot, as if the tether physically restrained him from giving me more space. His hands flexed at his sides, frustration cutting through his expression. "I wasn't the creature you saw," he said quietly. "But I was there." My stomach flipped. I tried to stop it. I failed. And the curse woke that night because of what I did to protect you. Protect me. The words hit like ice and heat at once. I shook my head. No, you don't get to rewrite what I lived." "I'm not rewriting." he said, voice low. I'm giving you the part you never saw. The tether pulsed, a soft, aching tug pulling another fragment of memory forward. A shadow stepping between me and something monstrous. A voice shouting my name. Arms lifting me off the ground. A rush of wind. Then darkness. I gasped, clutching the nearest surface. He moved toward me instinctively, but stopped himself mid-step, fingers curling in restraint. You remember enough to know I'm not lying, he said. I didn't kill your family. I saved you from what did. Emotion crashed through me. Fear, confusion, anger, and something sharper I didn't want to name. Why me? My voice barely held together. Why were you even there? His answer came without hesitation. Because I knew the curse would choose you one day. My heartbeat stalled. I didn't want that fate for you, he said, stepping close enough that the tether warmed between us like a live current. I didn't want a life where you were tied to someone like me. His voice dropped to a rough whisper. And yet, here we are. The tether throbbed again, dragging another flicker of memory up my throat. My own scream, his hands pulling me from the fire. He saw the recognition in my eyes, and the hunger beneath his control sharpened, dark and unmistakable. You survived because of me, he said softly. And now, I survive because of you. A voice cut through the doorway before I could respond. So this is where you've been hiding. He stiffened instantly, not with fear. With something colder. A woman stepped into the ruined frame, tall, sharp-eyed, carrying the same wild heat he did, but controlled like a blade rather than a storm. Her gaze slid over the broken cabin, the claw marks, the scattered snow, and then landed on me. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. So the tether chose someone after all. He moved in front of me on instinct, but not fast enough. Her eyes had already taken in the space between us, the glow under his skin, the way I still breathed in sync with him without meaning to. I thought, she said lightly, that bond was meant for me. The air thinned. He didn't answer. That alone told me everything. She stepped toward him, slow and deliberate, her hand lifting like she'd done it 1,000 times. Let me help you stabilize, she murmured, brushing her fingers across his wrist. The effect was immediate. His body jerked violently, the curse ripping through him like it had been waiting to attack. He staggered back, half shifting, breath crushed from his lungs. Her expression cracked. What? But the tether had already snapped awake. A force yanked him toward me, hard, undeniable, as if the ground itself tilted in my direction. He stumbled, catching himself against my body, his hands gripping my waist with zero restraint. The woman's eyes widened. You've got to be kidding me. He tried to pull away. He couldn't. The moment he touched her, the curse fought her, and reached for me instead, dragging him closer, closer, until his forehead pressed against my temple, and his breath spilled hot across my cheek. The room pulsed. Heat surged through the tether, rough, fast, overwhelming. He groaned against me, fighting the shift, fighting the need, fighting everything except the pull that pinned him to my body. Don't, he breathed, voice breaking. Don't move. My hands had nowhere else to go, so they ended up on his shoulders, steadying him, anchoring him, feeding the tether exactly what it demanded. His body shuddered with the relief. The woman's jaw tightened. You're letting her? He didn't even look at her. He couldn't. His entire focus was on me, on the tether pulsing between us, dragging us chest to chest, until the world outside blurred. His breath hit the hollow of my neck, mine tangled with his. "This isn't choice," he whispered to me, voice wrecked. "It's the curse, reacting to jealousy." He trembled again, but this time the tremor wasn't pain. It was something hotter, darker, barely controlled. My fingers dug into him. His hands tightened on my waist. The tether surged again, sharper than ever, pulling a soft sound from my throat I didn't mean to make. His answer came back in a low, unsteady growl against my skin. The clan woman stepped forward, furious now. "Enough! Release her!" He finally looked at her, and the look was lethal. "I can't," he said, voice low and rough. "She's the only one who keeps me from shifting into something that will tear this room apart." His grip on me tightened, not trapping, grounding. His forehead pressing briefly to mine as he fought the curse trying to rip through him. "And she's the only one," he added quietly, "that the curse wants." The woman's expression fractured, rage, disbelief, something wounded beneath it all. She spat the words like venom. "Then you're already lost." She stormed out, leaving the cold rushing in behind her. But he didn't let go. Couldn't. The tether held us there, body to body, breath tangled, heat spiraling, both of us trembling with the same forbidden thought neither dared voice. What just happened? Felt far too good for something that was supposed to be a curse. The moment she vanished into the snow, everything went silent. Too silent. He lifted his head, breath brushing my cheek. "They won't leave it like this," he whispered. "They'll come back with orders, and back up." A howl tore across the forest, sharp, commanding, his entire body tensed. "That's the signal," he said. "They've chosen violence." Before I could answer, he grabbed my hand, not gently, not harshly, just certain, and pulled me toward the back door. "We run," he said. We burst into the storm. Snow lashed our faces. Wind slicing through the trees like a warning. His grip never loosened. If anything, it tightened, the tether pulling him closer with every step. Branches cracked overhead, fast, multiple. The clan was already surrounding us. He snarled under his breath, half shifting from the strain. His pace stumbled once, twice, before he yanked me against him to stay upright. "Keep close," he breathed. "If you drift, they'll take you first." Another howling chorus shook the sky. Then the world exploded. 3 figures dropped from the trees, claws slicing the air. He shoved me behind him, blocking a strike that would have opened my throat. The impact forced him to shift halfway, bones twisting, muscles pulling wrong. He cried out, not in fear, in agony. "Stop fighting!" I shouted. "Can't," he growled. "Not with you so far." Far? I was inches from him. But for the tether, inches were too much. The curse surged, violent, hungry, and the force slammed me into his chest like the world snapped inward. His arms locked around me on instinct, holding me tight, bodies flush, his breath hot and uneven against my neck. The clan froze, staring, realizing. The tether wasn't weak. It was evolving. Wind ripped through the clearing as the storm above cracked open, lightning slashing bright behind the trees. His voice trembled against my skin. "This is bad. I'm losing control." I felt it, the heat rolling off him, the tremors shaking through his arms, the energy coiling low like something wild trying to break free. "What do I do?" I whispered. His forehead dropped to my shoulder, his voice cracking open. "The curse doesn't want fear anymore," he said. "It wants surrender." My breath caught. "Surrender?" His fingers slid around my waist, pulling me impossibly closer, the tether humming like a pulse between us. Not fear, he whispered. Not strength. A shaking exhale. It needs the part of you you've never given anyone. Heat spiraled through me, sharp, overwhelming, terrifying. Lightning flashed. The clans circled, the storm howled, and he held me like letting go would kill us both. Give it, he whispered, voice rough, pleading. Just this once. I almost did. My hands curled in his shirt, my body fit against his like I'd been meant for it. My breath matched his, heart racing so fast I felt it in his chest. For one impossible second, I nearly surrendered everything the curse demanded. But then, a branch snapped behind us, a warning, a threat, reality slamming back. I jerked away, just barely, breaking the moment with a gasp. His body lurched forward as if pulled by a hook, the curse punishing the distance instantly. He dropped to one knee, shuddering violently, a low growl ripping from his throat. The clan watched, waiting for him to break, waiting for me to give in. I knelt beside him, grabbing his face, forcing his eyes to mine. I'm here, I whispered. Just not all the way. His jaw clenched in pain, but he nodded, barely, and with that tiny refusal, that almost surrender. The moon cracked open behind the clouds, spilling a silver light that made the curse flare so bright the entire forest went silent. Something had shifted. Inside him, inside me, inside the tether binding us together. And none of us knew what it meant yet. The silence didn't last. A sharp whistle cut through the trees, a command. Before I could react, something slammed into my back. Another hit his shoulders. The clan swarmed. He roared, half-shifted, trying to reach me, but they pinned him with brutal precision, forcing him to the ground. His claws carved trenches in the snow as he fought them, eyes locked on me with a look that made my chest tear open. "Don't touch her," he snarled. "Don't you dare!" They didn't listen. Rough hands lifted me, dragging me across the snow. The tether stretched between us until it burned hot enough to make my head swim. "Stop," he growled, voice shredded. "You'll trigger it." Too late. The tether snapped tight, pain slashing through both of us. He screamed, his body contorting again, shifting wrong, too fast, nearly breaking bone. The clan leader stepped forward, a tall man with scars along his throat and eyes that mirrored the storm. "Separate them before he fully activates," he ordered. Activate? What did that even mean? They pinned me against a fallen tree. The leader approached slowly, studying me like I was a weapon he'd hoped never to see again. "So it's true," he murmured. "The bloodline survived." I froze. "What bloodline?" He tilted my chin up with 2 fingers, ignoring the way I flinched. "You really don't know." It wasn't a question, more like pity. Behind him, the wolf air tore against 3 warriors, losing strength fast, the curse twisting him in violent pulses. He looked like he was tearing apart from the inside. "She's the tether," he shouted. "She doesn't know. Let her go." The leader ignored him. "You," he said to me, "are the last descendant of the heiress line." My breath stumbled. "I've never heard of—" "You weren't meant to." His voice turned cold. "Your ancestors were wiped out because they could change the fate of any cursed being they touched." "Change fate?" He leaned closer. "You don't feed curses," he said softly. "You rewrite them." The world tilted. That's why the tether pulls through you the way it does. That's why he survives every time you touch him. You're not healing him. You're restructuring the curse itself. I shook my head. No, I'm nothing like that. I'm. He cut me off with a sharp gesture. You were hidden as a child because you were dangerous. Your power wasn't supposed to resurface, but the curse recognized you the moment you touched him. Behind him, the wolf heir groaned, collapsing under the weight of the binding ropes. Blood hit the snow. No! I tried to run toward him, but the clan leader caught my wrist. Listen carefully, he said. If the tether completes, your souls will merge permanently. You'll feel what he feels, want what he wants. There is no undoing it. His face hardened. The heiress bond always ends the same way, an obsession powerful enough to destroy entire clans. My pulse hammered. So that's why you want to kill him? My voice cracked. To keep the bond from happening? He looked almost sad. To keep you from unraveling the world he's becoming? A violent pulse shot through the tether, so strong it knocked the breath from my lungs. He felt it too. He lifted his head from the snow, eyes blazing with pain and something deeper. Don't listen to them, he rasped. They're afraid of what we could be. The clan leader tightened his grip on me. They're afraid of what you already are. Lightning lit the sky again, illuminating both of us. Him broken in the snow, me pinned in a stranger's grip, the tether between us glowing faintly like a thread of heat. And in that blinding flash, I realized something terrifying. He wasn't the only one changing. I was too. The tether snapped again, this time so violently the world blurred. A pulse of heat tore through him, then through me, then outward like a shockwave. The ropes binding him shredded. The clan didn't even have time to react. He was already on his feet, half-shifted, eyes blazing, breath feral. Not a monster, not a man. Something in between, something terrifying and beautiful in its rage. He launched. To challenge, he lunged. Snow exploded in every direction as he hit the first warrior, sending them both skidding across the ground. Another tried to intercept him, too slow. A swipe of his arm sent the attacker crashing into a tree trunk hard enough to crack bark. The leader yanked me back as the scene erupted into chaos. Stop! He roared. This will end you both! But the wolf heir heard nothing. He saw nothing. No clan, no threat, only me. His gaze locked on mine, furious, wild, terrified of how close he'd come to losing me. That fear surged through the tether, magnifying his strength until even the storm seemed to recoil. He leapt. The leader jerked me aside just in time, but not far. The wolf heir landed between us, shoulders shaking, teeth bared, every breath a warning. Let her go, he growled, voice roughened by the shift. Or I stop holding back. For the first time, the leader hesitated. Just a flicker, but enough. In that heartbeat, the wolf heir grabbed me, lifting me into his arms like instinct had shaped the movement for him long before this night. Close your eyes, he whispered. I did. He ran. Snow whipped past us in white streaks. Branches cracked overhead. The clan howled behind us, furious, confused, outpaced. He didn't stop, not when the trees closed in, not when his breathing grew ragged, not when the tether growled hot against my ribs, urging him to run faster. He only stopped when the forest opened into a clearing, revealing a crumbling stone sanctuary swallowed by vines and moonlight. He stumbled inside, body shaking from exertion and curse, lowering me gently onto the cold stone floor. Then he collapsed to his knees in front of me. Not in defeat, in something far more dangerous. I thought I lost you, he rasped, gripping the floor as if it were the only thing keeping him anchored. Every time they touched you, the tether ripped me apart. I reached toward him, then froze mid-motion, The tether pulsed the moment I thought of touching him. He felt it, his breath caught. "Careful," he whispered. "I'm barely holding control." The air thickened. The storm outside faded. Only us, and the tether humming like it wanted to consume the space between our bodies. He lifted his head, eyes darker than I'd ever seen. "Every exchange ties me tighter to you," he said softly. "I feel you everywhere, even when you're not touching me." "I didn't choose this," I whispered. "I didn't either," he said, voice breaking. "But I choose you now." He moved closer, slowly, painfully. Every inch a battle against the curse that wanted to shove him into my arms. His forehead brushed mine. The smallest contact, and heat surged so fiercely I gasped. He caught the sound with his breath, eyes fluttering shut. "I want..." His voice cracked. "Gods, I want something I shouldn't ask for." My fingers curled in the fabric of his shirt. "Tell me." He exhaled against my lips, not kissing, not touching, but close enough that my entire body tightened. "The tether wants you to surrender," he said. "But I want you to want it. Not because the curse demands it, but because you feel this too." His hand slid to my waist, slow, trembling, drawing a heated pull through the tether that made my knees weaken. I almost gave in, almost leaned forward, almost let the moment swallow the fear I'd held for years. Almost. At the last second, I turned my head, breath shaking. "I'm not ready." His body froze. His grip tightened, then loosened instantly, as if my hesitation burned him. He dragged in a slow, ragged breath and rested his forehead on my shoulder, his voice breaking into it. "Then I'll wait," he whispered. "But don't expect me to pretend I don't want you. Not after tonight." The tether pulsed one last time, not demanding, not pulling, but promising the storm hadn't passed. Not even close. His breath had barely steadied when everything inside him snapped. One moment he was holding me, restrained, shaking, but present. The next, his entire body caved in. A violent tremor tore through him, ripping a broken sound from his throat. He collapsed sideways, catching himself on one elbow, but even that buckled. His hands clawed at the stone floor like he was trying to hold on to reality and losing. "Wait!" I reached for him. He flinched away. Not from me. From pain so intense it bent him forward. "No! Don't!" His voice cracked. "Not now! You hesitated. The tether is punishing me for it." My chest tightened. "Hesitation shouldn't hurt you." "It does," he gasped. "When you pull back, it unravels me. Your fear..." His eyes squeezed shut. "Your fear feeds the wrong part of the curse." Another pulse hit him. He jerked violently, body twisting between forms, bones shifting too fast, too sharp. A half shift gone wrong. Dangerous, unstable. "Stop, please," I whispered. He tried to look at me. He couldn't. His vision unfocused, breath ragged, voice barely human. "It's not you I'm fighting," he choked out. "It's the part of me that woke the night your family..." His words cut off as his back arched, a raw cry tearing from him. I grabbed him without thinking. The tether didn't just activate, it detonated. A blinding surge of heat yanked me forward, dragging my consciousness straight into him. Not his body, his mind. The sanctuary disappeared. The storm vanished. I fell into a memory that wasn't mine. Fire, smoke, my childhood home burning. I saw myself, small, terrified, running into the woods, and behind me, the creature I'd spent my whole life fearing. Huge, twisted, eyes glowing with hunger and destruction. But next to it, fighting it, was him, the wolf heir. Younger, wounded, bleeding as he threw himself between the creature and my family. "No," I whispered, watching it unfold. The creature struck him. He fell. And something inside him, something ancient and cursed, awakened with a violent pulse that split the air. The creature turned on my family. He tried to pull it away, dragging it by force, taking hit after hit meant for us. He failed, but he wasn't the one who killed them. He wasn't the monster in my nightmares. The curse was a different shape, a different hunger, a different set of eyes, twisted, warped, only reflecting his by accident. And when he saw me running, he tried to reach me. "Tie it to me," Youngham shouted at another warrior. "Bind the curse to me, not the child." But the warrior hesitated. The creature struck first. I watched his younger self collapse, clawing through smoke to drag me away from the fire, the same way I dragged his wolf form to my cabin. History repeating, wrongly remembered, twisted by trauma. My chest constricted so hard I couldn't breathe. The memory dissolved. I snapped back into the sanctuary, falling onto my hands, panting, shaking. He lay on the floor in front of me, barely conscious, blood trailing from his mouth, the last threads of the failed shift flickering along his skin. His voice was a whisper, broken and small. "Now you know. My first sin wasn't harming your family." A ragged breath. It was failing to save them. His eyes, those eyes I once feared, now looked at me like he was begging for a verdict. "And if you hesitate again," he whispered, "it won't just break me. It will turn me into the thing you saw that night." My breath shattered. The truth didn't just hit me. It destroyed everything I thought I knew. For a long moment, all I heard was his breathing. Shallow, uneven, slipping. Every tremor that shook him felt like it cracked something inside me too. He wasn't the monster. He never had been. And my fear, my hesitation, was killing the only person who had ever tried to save me. I wiped my face with a shaking hand and stood. Snowlight spilled through the sanctuary's broken roof, silver and fractured. The same moon that had cursed him. The same moon that watched the night my life shattered. He looked up at me, barely conscious, eyes dulling like a flame fighting its last breath. "Don't," he whispered weakly. "Don't come closer unless you're sure." But I was already moving. My knees hit the stone beside him. I slid my hands to his face, gently this time, not out of fear but conviction, and lifted him enough for his forehead to press against my collarbone. His breath hitched. He froze, even in agony. He tried not to touch more than I allowed. That broke me completely. "I'm here," I whispered. "And this time, I'm not pulling away." The tether didn't activate softly. It erupted. A hot surge tore through us. Not violent, not painful, but consuming, like warmth pouring into frozen skin after years of cold. His body arched toward mine, a choked sound escaping him as the shift halted mid-chaos, then bent back under control. He clutched at my waist, fingers trembling, not taking, not demanding, begging for the permission he once feared to even ask for. I nodded. That was all it took. The tether snapped fully open. Heat flooded between us, rolling through our bodies in waves. His head dropped against my shoulder. My fingers curled into his hair. The energy wasn't gentle. It crackled, surged, pulled our breaths together. Drew our pulses into one rhythm. Every inch of him trembled as the curse rewrote itself under my touch. Every inch of me felt the surrender I'd been running from, finally given. "More," he breathed, his voice breaking like he'd waited centuries for that single word. "Give me all of it. Don't hold back." I didn't. I pressed closer. He shuddered violently, gripping me like the ground was tilting beneath him. Light flared across his skin, tracing lines of power that pulsed with each intake of breath. His restraint melted, not into dominance, not into hunger, but into something rawer, deeper, terrifying in its honesty. He held me like I was the only thing keeping him alive, and the only thing he'd ever wanted. The tether surged again, euphemistic, explosive, heat folding into heat, until his forehead dropped to mine, his voice shaking with disbelief. "It's you," he whispered. "It's always been you." Energy spiraled around us, lifting the dust, pushing the air outward in shimmering waves. His body straightened, strength pouring into him, his voice deepening as the shift corrected itself, bones aligning, power settling where it belonged. He rose, not shifting, not broken, but transformed, and I felt it too. The tether humming steady, no longer punishing my fear, no longer dragging me, but linking us through something chosen, something unbreakable. He cupped my jaw with both hands, trembling with the weight of what I'd just given him. For the first time, he breathed. "You touched me with no fear." My chest tightened as heat washed through me again, softer this time, deeper. And for the first time, his lips brushed my cheek, slow, reverent, grateful in a way that burned hotter than the tether itself. "I could touch you without breaking." His eyes glowed under the fractured moonlight, not cursed, not wild, but alive. Alive because of me. And when he pulled me against him, arms wrapping fully around my waist with no restraint left in him, every pulse of power between us said the same truth. The tether was complete. The bond was real. And neither of us would ever be the same. The sanctuary hadn't even finished echoing with the last pulse of power when the forest erupted. Howls, dozens of them, closing in from every direction. Heavy steps cracking branches, claws scraping stone. The clan was coming, not to capture, not to warn, to end him, to end us. He pulled back just enough to look at me, breath steady, eyes calm in a way I had never seen. Not wild, not breaking, but centered around one truth. He wasn't alone anymore. "Stay behind me," he murmured. But I didn't move. I slid my hand into his, not out of fear, but because the tether hummed warmer when I touched him now. He felt it too. His grip tightened, a low sound catching in his throat, more emotional than any plea had ever been. The first warrior crashed into the sanctuary, then froze. Because the man standing in front of me wasn't the broken air they'd hunted. He wasn't half-shifted. He wasn't unstable. He stood tall, shoulders squared, power settled beneath his skin, like it had finally found its rightful home. The curse wasn't controlling him anymore. It was listening to him, shaped by me. One by one, the clan circled inside, forming a ring of bodies and hostility. The leader stepped forward, eyes narrowing. "What have you done?" He didn't answer. He didn't have to. He simply stepped in front of me and let the power ripple outward, not as a threat, but as a declaration. The air bent around him, the floor humming with energy tied to every breath I took. The leader's voice dropped. "That bond is forbidden." He glanced back at me, just a flicker, but the warmth in it nearly unmanned me. "Then it never should have chosen her," he said. The clan moved, fast, too fast, but he was faster. He surged forward, intercepting the first blow with a force that shook dust from the ceiling. Another attacker lunged. He twisted, catching them mid-air and sending them crashing into stone. Not wild, not reckless. every movement precise, controlled, fueled by a power that sharpened each time I exhaled. The tether didn't just steady him, it amplified him. For every pulse of my heartbeat, he hit harder. For every breath I drew, his form grew steadier. For every flicker of emotion inside me, his body shifted to match it. Protective, fierce, relentless. The leader tried to break through. He didn't even reach me. The wolf air caught him by the collar, slammed him onto his knees, and growled low against his ear. "She isn't yours to decide for," he said. "She's mine." The words vibrated through the tether, through my chest, through the entire sanctuary, and the clan felt it. The leader's eyes widened, not at the violence, but at the absolute truth in those words. "This bond will end badly." The leader spat. He looked over his shoulder at me, a dark promise settling in his eyes. "Only if she ever wants to leave me," he said softly. The leader stilled, because we all knew the truth. I wasn't leaving, not after everything, not after seeing who he truly was, not after feeling what the tether had become, not a curse, not a chain, but a choice I kept making every time I touched him. The clan backed away slowly, realization settling like snow. They couldn't kill him now, not with the tether complete, not with power reshaped by me. They left the sanctuary, one by one, silent, defeated. When the last footsteps faded, he turned to me. The moment our eyes met, the sanctuary warmed, subtly, softly, as if the tether recognized we were alone again. He crossed the distance in 2 steps, hands sliding to my waist, pulling me flush against him with a reverence that made my breath break. "You changed everything," he whispered. His forehead brushed mine. Heat coiled through the tether, slow and deep, like a promise unfolding. "And now that I have you," he murmured, voice dropping to something low and unapologetically possessive, "I'm never losing you again." My fingers curled into his shirt. His breath hit my cheek. The tether hummed, not demanding, not punishing, but urging. He lifted my chin gently, eyes dark with emotion he'd never shown before. "You're mine," he whispered, "and I'm yours. Whatever comes next, we face it together." The bond flared, euphemistic, heated, pulling us into a moment that felt like destiny tilting around us. His lips grazed my cheek. My breath caught. The tether snapped warm between us, flooding my body with a heat that left my knees weak. He caught me easily. "Careful," he murmured, voice thick. "I'm not done holding you yet." Under the fractured moon, wrapped in power neither of us feared anymore. Our future sealed itself in the space of a single breath, raw, intimate, dangerous, unbreakable. And every rainmaker listening knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something far deeper.